everybody, and welcome to episode number 15 of On the Flank. I am your host, John George, alongside Joe Kirkpatrick. Say hello, Joe.
Hello, everybody. I just realized that means we're almost at a third of a year.
Wow, that's amazing. That is an amazing feat, Joe. Congratulations.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't gotten there yet, but
We're basically there. And when it comes to analysis, we are on the flank. So this week, not too much this week. It was Thanksgiving. All the teams took that into account, and they took a nice week off. They didn't want to announce anything, nothing, no new team branding. Vancouver and Washington still sitting there with nothing to announce. We got some roster announcements from Hangzhou and Guangzhou. Of course, the Chinese people, they do not celebrate Thanksgiving. That is an American thing. We've got some other academy roster things. Contenders, Korean contenders specifically started. I'm going to talk about that for a little bit. So we're gonna have to fill a lot of this time with a topic, and a little tease. You're gonna get to know me and Joe some more in our Overwatch past. You excited for this episode, Joe?
yeah, it should be good, just like all of them.
I mean, all of them are A-pluses in my book. 5 stars.
That's what I'm saying. Speaking of which, you should rate us on iTunes.
Absolutely. We do have one review up right now, and I thank you for that review. It's a beautiful review. And we would love some rates, some subscribes, get us to the top of the charts. But let's start off. Brief contenders. Joe, did you watch any contenders? I know it was Thanksgiving. I don't blame you if we don't watch any contenders here.
I haven't recently. No, I know. Like you said, it's been going on here pretty recently. But what have you been getting from it?
I watched. So what did I watch? I watched the first day of Korean contenders, which was. Let me go back and see. That was the 23rd. That was Friday. And of course, it is late. It's in Korea. So I just wanted to see how the new Runaway roster was. They're very good still. 3-0'd Geekstar. We don't know if Geekstar is good or bad yet, though. But the new Runaway roster looks super good. The second game that night, Kongdu Panthera versus Gen G, was definitely the best game. Everything else was 3-0s. Kongdu Panthera Gen G was 3-2, went to 5 maps, and both teams look really good. Of course, Gen G is the esports organization that owns Seoul Dynasty, so Gen G is their academy team. They both look super good. I mean, we've got a bunch of new players here in contenders. These are all unknown players basically, because especially in Korean contenders, where all the new Overwatch League teams are just picking apart these old contenders rosters for players for season 2. So we get to just see a bunch of new players. I decided to hop on, watch it, and they're still a bunch of impressive players. There's no doubt about that. Especially with Runaway, they looked super good. Looked like their team hadn't been completely torn apart whatsoever. They had a completely new team, but they were super on point. Besides Contenders Korea, there was some European action. I did not catch the European action, and then we had China, Australia. We had a bunch that already had started before, but we do get North American contenders that starts tomorrow with Mayhem Academy versus Atlanta Academy, which we will talk about a little later in this show. Kongarna, first generation. Fusion University faces Uprising Academy, which is the new name for Toronto Esports as of now on the website. And then you got some Second Wind versus Gladiators Legion, NRG versus Skyfoxes, XL2 versus Team Envy. All good games. Those are on Wednesday though. So we get some North American action. Korean action is still going through. There are games today, I believe. But yeah, contenders exciting. We get some Overwatch to watch. Any thoughts, Joe? I guess you haven't seen it. I don't know what thoughts you would have.
Yeah, not so much. Other than I might might tune in for some of this, especially with some of these Overwatch League Academy teams that now also can have two-way players on them. Thinking about, for example, Gator for Atlanta, I know, Elk for Philadelphia Fusion. That'll be potentially trying to pull in, or well, I don't know if that was the intent, but potentially will have the effect of pulling in some of their tier one viewers into contenders to watch some of their favorite players. So that'll be helpful.
Yeah. Fusions with Uprising Academy.
Yeah.
Some great two-way players out there. I think that's one of the most exciting parts about contenders now is you actually have players that are on two-way contracts and very well could be in the Overwatch League like tomorrow, basically, or something like that. But that'll be more with the next season, of course, because Overwatch League is not happening right now. But yeah, we had some events over Thanksgiving week. That was fun. I definitely want to watch some more Korean contenders. Genji looked very good despite the loss. So exciting that Seoul has an academy team over. We get an academy team over in Korea, which is fun. Now we get into the news. First bit of news is we may have got some branding leaks over here. It's a very blurry image. I I can't believe no one's enhanced this quite yet, But we get what some people expected with some blue and green. This is the Vancouver Titans. We get some blue and green, which is what people expect because of their Twitter colors. Also, the Vancouver Canucks are blue and green, which the owners of the Vancouver Canucks, hockey team of Vancouver, also own this team. Besides that, they're the Vancouver Titans, which I believe Titans was a leaked name before, and their logo is a Yeti, I think.
Pretty much, yeah.
I believe that is a Yeti, which is just another team that has a logo that is completely unrelated to their team nickname. I feel like I guess a Yeti could be a Titan, right?
Yeah,
I
I
don't know.
guess.
Titan's that's like an ancient Greek type thing or something.
We'll have to analyze the lore of the leaked Overwatch League team.
And we show up, then Vancouver doesn't even announce this one, of course, after we analyze it for hours on end.
Yeah,
Just like the Toronto leak, which I like the Toronto leak more than the actual one.
Toronto Venom, yeah.
I do. I wanted the black and white, but we got the stupid Defiant.
We could still get the Vancouver Runaways and just have we already have a pink and blue team, but now we'll just have a blue and pink team.
Yeah, blue. We do need a blue and pink.
Call it right now.
I was completely gonna go off on a rant. We have a pink and blue team, but now we need a blue and pink team. Where is it? It's been a week. Where's our blue and pink team?
It's true.
But yeah, I guess we could give our teaser, our leaked thoughts. How about our leaked thoughts? These are leaked thoughts before the actual one happens. I like the colors. I really like blue and green, and it looks like the main color. I mean, they like share almost. It looks like it's 50-50, but I think they would go green, their main color. I like blue and green. I mean, if this is the actual one, the logo is cool. Does it fit the Titan name? Not too much, but I don't know what else you would do for a Titan. All I think of when I think of a Titan is like a giant person. Like, so I don't know how you would do that in a logo. There is the Tennessee Titans. That's an NFL team, but their logo is just a T on fire.
True.
Their logo is just a T that's like on fire. So
And that's how all the Titans were also on fire.
they were all on fire. They were, yeah. That was a problem with the Titans. Always.
That's why you don't hear about them anymore.
Exactly. They burned to a crisp. What do you think about this colors logo? Just a little tease, Joe. Give them a little tease.
It's gonna be good. I think. We got the variety in the green, and it's a sort of forest green, so that's kind of cool. I kind of wish I kind of wish there was some white in there.
Yeah.
If nothing else, for the sake of trying to fit the Yeti theme, put a little bit more snow type thing on there. But whatever, who knows? We'll have to see what happens.
Soldier's hair is white, so
It's true. Soldier's hair is white.
but yeah, white would definitely be cool. But Vancouver Canucks, they are very blue and green. I don't think they used I guess they have to use white for their away colors, Joe. So you
It's
will
true.
get white. You will get
It's
white.
true.
But yeah, the Vancouver Winstons. I just noticed the top comment. It does kind of look like Winston.
Uh,
But yeah, I'm excited for. Honestly, Vancouver is one of the teams I'm most excited to announce because they will be. I know they're going to be one of my favorite teams with that runaway roster. And I'm already excited about their blue and green. So I'm excited for them to announce. Washington, not too excited about their announcement based off their league logo. Rosters. Hangzhou announced. I believe this should be. I don't know. They could announce more. Can they? Can they
they
even?
could
Is
they could
12?
have up to two more. They're up to
Yes,
10 right now.
they are up to 10. So they have their minimum. They've reached 8. And since our last podcast, they announced. I don't know. IDK. Revenge. I don't know who they announced. Revenge, Crystal, and Bebe. So that's 3 supports which they needed. They hadn't announced any supports yet, and then Crystal's another DPS. They're going the 4 DPS route. Important to note that Crystal is their second Chinese player alongside Gu Shui. Was Crystal on the national team?
I was trying to look that up. I
Yes,
think he
yes,
was.
he
Yeah.
was. He was on the national team with Gu Shui. So Hangzhou picking up the two Chinese players. I believe most of them are those Chinese players were too young for the Overwatch League anyway. So I feel like this is two is a very good amount from that amazing Chinese team we saw.
Yeah.
But what do you think of this? What do you think of their roster overall? I've been seeing a lot more Hangzhou fans pop up, mainly maybe because of their pink and blue. But what do you think of their roster? Can they compete enough to satisfy their already huge fan base?
They've certainly got the depth now, and I think that's this is a path we saw some of the other Overwatch League teams taking at the beginning of season one, right? Coming in, notably London Spitfire with 12 players. And so some of these other teams, I guess Philly had 12. I know at the top beginning of the season off the top of my head, but yeah, coming in to have this kind of flexibility. I mean, we're looking at least the way they're designated on this page. I'm looking at 3 tanks and 4 DPS and 3 supports. So lots of freedom to experiment. Again, with some of these players that are coming from various different teams out of Chinese and Korean contenders. There'll be some built-in synergy there already. Maybe Crystal Gu Shui, but also from similar teams as well. No Smite and Rhea from X6 as well as Gatsby Bazzi. Lots of these drawing from similar teams. I think that'll be helpful. But yeah, it's. I think I mentioned before. So lots of these new expansion teams, both the Chinese teams and the Western teams. Season 2 now is really just as experimental for them as the first one was for everyone else. Trying to find exactly where they're going to fit in, what they need to be doing. Because lots of these players, most vast majority of these players are new to this tier 1 scene, so it's going to take some getting used to for sure.
Oh yeah, it's always interesting. I've been me and you we're getting closer to previewing season 2. And almost every week, I'm just like, what am I going to do for the expansion teams? Like, what do I think about them? Because I like all these players. I've said it over and over again. They're picking good players from contenders, but comparing them to Overwatch League players is just so hard. Like, I don't know how they will compete. I don't know if anyone can predict which contenders players can play at tier 1,
Yeah.
Because none of them have. So we really do not know how they will perform on the big stage in LA.
And that's why we can't wait for February 14th.
Exactly right. It's going to be these 2 years are like I feel like the hardest years to have like our podcast or something like that and do like a prediction thing and decide because it's so hard. You actually do not know how these players are going to perform. But if I had to predict right now, I believe I would still have the inaugural teams performing better than most of the expansion teams.
I would agree. Yeah, just based on the experience, if nothing else.
Exactly. But yeah, I like this Hangzhou roster. Let's see, Guangzhou. Guangzhou announced their full roster video form. This was reminded me a lot of Atlanta's announcement, of course. Both of them just going full out. Here's my entire roster, which I think I mentioned before. I don't like that style as much as Hangzhou that just went 2x2x2. But we got four DPS on this roster. We got Eileen, Happy, Kib, Nero. Four supports: Chara, Only Wish, Shu, 1J, Lee, and then we've got a tank, Rio, and Flex. Hotba, of course, we all know Hotba, Philly Fusion man. And we already knew Hotba was on this team.
Yeah.
For about a month now. But I think this is another mishmash of just a bunch of nationalities here, mostly Korean, but we got two Chinese players and Eileen and Only Wish. Everyone's been waiting for Eileen to finally be on a team. Here he is. He's on Overwatch. He's in Overwatch League. We got Kib, this is my most excitement. I think Kib everyone's talking about fusions from that UK team. I'm talking about Kib. Kib was amazing. And I'm excited that he got on a team. In Guangzhou Charge. And then we got Nero, who is American, representing America. I think this is the first American to be on a
Eastern team.
First American announced to be on a Eastern team. Pretty amazing.
I think so, yeah.
Nero, if you didn't know, played for Toronto Esports. Or am I not allowed to say that name anymore?
I don't know. This page I'm looking at does.
X on Liquipedia,
formerly known as Toronto Esports.
On Liquipedia, it says from March 3rd to November 12th of this year, he was on Toronto Esports, and then on November 12th, he was then picked up by Toronto Esports until November 22nd. When he was picked up by Guangzhou Charge. So the Liquipedia has changed Toronto Esports to Toronto Esports right now.
There you go.
There you go. But yeah, this is another, I think, pretty good roster. They got some talent here. I like Hotba. Philly Fusion likes Poco a lot more than Hotba, but I like Hotba as a nice starting place. He's going to teach everyone what's what in the Overwatch League. But I, of course, really like Kib. I really like Eileen as well on DPS. And overall, I don't know too much about their supports. What do you think of this? Who are you most excited to see on this team? Let's do that. Who are you most excited to see on the Guangzhou Charge?
Well, I can definitely say, looking at the roster the way this stands now, we're going to see lots of Rio Hotba. They're sort of in. At least again, based on these roster assignments, sort of sitting in that tank duo slot, almost by default. So that'll be cool to see. Obviously, Hoppa playing a lot with Sato last season, but now moving into this new team. How that tank relationship develops. Because that's really what it is. As you're going through the season, it's developing a relationship with your teammates and your role partners. But yeah, and then 4 DPS, 4 supports, again, gives them lots of flexibility, and I think that's sort of what they're going for. We've got a big mix, like you said, of nationalities and national origins, and that's something. And so it's gonna be a challenge, but I think that can be pretty beneficial for them, and not only for them, but for the fan base. Too, you'll have Chinese fans, obviously, for Guangzhou, but you'll have Korean fans, and you might have, you might have some British fans, you might have some Canadian American fans as well of this team, which is going to be cool to see, how that is able to coalesce around the Guangzhou Charge.
God, I am so excited for this season. I don't know why I just randomly got so excited. I just want to see. I just pictured I don't know. I was just looking at Guangzhou Charge's logo. I just pictured it on the big screen on the stage and stuff like that. I pictured a Chinese team getting its first win. I was like, wow.
Insert Overwatch League music here.
Yeah. Just inspirational. Everyone's crying as they listen to this podcast. I cannot wait for the next season. But yeah, we got we got two Chinese rosters here. I'm excited. I think I just got very excited mainly because we've got four Chinese teams, and I take a look at all their rosters this year, and I think they could put up some big wins for sure. And I think one or two of them could make the playoffs. They could make a run. I think they all got some very talented rosters here, and as the season goes on, they'll only get better as they get used to the big stage, Overwatch League. Even it's crazy because Shanghai. I mean, you got Guangzhou, Hangzhou, Chengdu. They're all going to be basically contenders rosters. But Shanghai was in the inaugural season, and they also have a contenders roster. It's very interesting because they've been there for a year, but they also have a minor league roster. But it's a better roster than last year.
It's true.
All right. XL2, Logix. Mr. Logix, he finally went somewhere. Everyone was begging for him to go somewhere. The XL2 Academy roster was announced, and Logix, he was there. Of course, former Mayhem, Florida Mayhem, DPS player. Everyone knows and loves him, and now he's going to be on XL2. Unfortunately, I think this was announced a little bit ago, maybe. Adam moving from support. He was, rest in peace, Adam. He's a player manager now, but he was one of the OGs, one of the best mercies in the world, and he is also heading to the dark side of coaching. But yeah, unfortunately for him, I legitimately thought Adam could have been an Overwatch League man, but unfortunately, I don't see Mercy being in the meta anytime soon. Yeah, what do you think about Logix? He happy? He's going somewhere. I mean, it's not an Overwatch League roster, but it's somewhere, right?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. We talked about when he was released. I was saying I was surprised that was the way that it went, but yeah, to see him on XL2, that's obviously a really good thing. Hanging out there with Mangachu on the DPS role, filling in for Nene, who's now been moved up. So actually, this makes it seem like Nene is not two-way. That they may have signed him to the roster permanently for New York because they didn't mention him in the announcement tweet. But it's actually interesting looking at this roster, though, now for XL2, that it's sort of come up to be sort of a former Owl Pros, the place where former Owl Pros go to die. To an extent, Will and TZ, obviously former London Spitfire, and now Logix as well. They've on the one hand, that's really good for their team, though. So that's to have that experience, have that core there. So
Yeah,
I'm a fan of that.
I'm also a fan of it. I think XL2 at the beginning was mostly Korean because it was basically the people NYXL like couldn't sign, like Flower, because of their age, or the people that were on like the Kongdu team that just couldn't join. I don't think it was Kongdu. I can't remember what team it was. Because Kongdu was Cloud9, so that was London, but I cannot remember. But yeah, Adam was on there. But now we got a nice mix of a bunch of different nationalities on this team, which is always great. Always great to see that. XL2, they're looking good. They were very good last contender season. We'll see how they do this season. They unfortunately could not beat Fusion University, but Fusion University, their players are their roster. They've gotten rid of some players. How many players have Fusion University got rid of now?
Uh, Not tons, I didn't think. I mean, they've like there's rumors about Beast Halo, I think. Um, and actually, did we ever hear about that? There's the Dallas rumor about Zachary.
Yeah,
You mentioned that. Did we ever hear about that? I guess not.
no. When were they? They were just teasing.
I thought it was supposed to come out like on Saturday or something, but I just
Yeah,
realized that nothing happened.
who was Dallas was teasing it via their account.
Yeah, or when they because it was like either hydration or you said maybe it was.
Yeah, because the original rumor was that Hydration was going to Dallas Fuel. Then Dallas Fuel teased. When did they tease it? Oh, 11/23/18. But I think, was that the
That must
tease?
that must have been for their
That was for
merch
their merch.
store.
That was for their merch store, and they also tweeted interested in something new that was about their merch. Yeah, but they do, I believe, are going. They have said they're going to announce more, and the rumors are Zachary. Right now, hydration was once part of the rumors, but yeah, I guess that was their merch store announcement. And it
Evidently.
was speaking of it, that was a terrible picture they posted. You could not see any numbers. It was very interesting. I literally could not see anything if on my phone. On my computer, I could see the picture, but I could not see anything on my phone. I don't know why they made it so hard to see.
I assume that was intentional, probably, but
A very
who
very
knows?
interesting choice. Who knows? Speaking of more NA contenders teams, the Atlanta team, Atlanta Reign, has announced that they have an academy team, and it is last night's leftovers. I'm glad that last night leftovers finally getting signed by somebody. This team has been orgless for the longest time, and they've been very successful, honestly, for being orgless. So I've been watching some of these players for such a long time. Ajax, he was back on that original NRG roster with Siegel, and then he got Dogman, who was honestly he's just been grinding since this game came out. He's nonstop, and I think he's a very underrated academy player. Dogman is, and this is a great signing for Atlanta Academy. Um,
Definitely, yeah.
their logo's interesting. Have you seen their logo?
Yeah, it reminds me of like the stylized ampersand from like D&D
Oh yeah,
with the A that they
yeah,
have.
yeah.
But
I think they're going like the A is kind of in style of their Phoenix logo.
yeah, it's true.
But yeah, this is I'm a fan of this signing. I'm a fan of giving this team an org. I mean, and you've got the Less Not Leftovers. They've got a pretty good fan base. The old hot dog with the toothpaste. I'm gonna miss the hot dog with toothpaste.
Maybe they'll bring it back for something.
Yeah,
I don't know how.
throwback jerseys.
There you go.
Yeah, it's gonna be lit once. I can't wait till we're deep into Overwatch League and we get those throwback jerseys every once in a while. Ooh, that's gonna be nice. Throwback to season 1 or something.
Yeah,
That's way down the line though. Holy cow.
it's true.
Um, so today, I think this was from today. Leaks about scheduling.
Yeah, or at least I saw it today,
Yes, or it was yesterday. Well, it was yesterday.
yesterday morning. Yeah.
Someone leaked Shanghai Dragons, not lots of Shanghai Dragons. First match will be
Yeah.
against Hangzhou Spark.
Yeah, I wonder if it's just like a Chinese transliteration thing.
Yeah, it might be.
Yeah, there's weird spellings going on, but the
Apparently, first match for these is for in their 2019 house season is going to be Shanghai versus Hangzhou, securing a first win for a Chinese professional Overwatch team. Crazy. I'm hype. This is going to be a hype match. Honestly, I think these two, in my opinion, well, we don't know Chengdu's roster yet, but based off the three rosters we know, I think these two are the best Chinese rosters so far. You pumped for this match?
it definitely should be good. Yeah. We're looking. No matter whether it happens or not, in theory, it's going to happen at some point. Yeah, and to have these connections is going to be good. So it makes me wonder, where this source got the information. If they do have a draft schedule or a final schedule floating around somewhere that they haven't announced yet. But either way, obviously we want to see that as soon as possible.
Oh yeah. I mean, what was it? It's been like more than a month, over a month. It's been such a long time since Nate came out and he was like, "Oh, I have the schedule now. I could
It's
release
true.
it. I could release it whenever I want."
It's
And
almost been a month since BlizzCon. That's crazy.
yeah, that is crazy. So I assume I can only assume that Nate has not given us that sweet schedule because Vancouver and Washington are taking so long, taking so long.
Yeah.
Ugh, it is so annoying. Um, hey, I got this interesting tweet on the Flanks timeline right now. Um, because they did, or let me, yeah, I'm just gonna. This is a freestyle off the top of my Twitter timeline.
There we go.
But apparently, the Sports Business Journal did a survey to their readers, and question number 9 on their survey, the results came out. What are the hottest sports properties right now?
That that's sports with an S, not with an E.
Yeah, sports. And Overwatch League got 28% of the vote.
Number three.
Number 3, behind NBA, number 1 by far, 56%. Then NFL 29, Overwatch League 28. That's crazy. It was only 825 people, so maybe we could have some bias in there, but we'll see. I mean, I think there clearly is some bias because I hate the NBA, but NBA is a very hot property right now. I will admit that. That's all we got for news, including that freestyle that I just saw on the Flanks Twitter timeline all of a sudden, and I was like, oh, this is interesting. But today's topic, Joe, I teased it earlier. Our listeners, our dear fans, they're going to get to know us a little bit more. I've come up here. I've given some topics. So just some little questions. It's a bunch of favorites. I just see the word favorite a bunch on the list, and we're not getting too personal here. We're not going whole life story. We're just going Overwatch story, specifically Overwatch League, with some Overwatch sprinkled questions in there. These guys, our listeners, they didn't get to know us at all in Overwatch League Season 1. We didn't have this podcast back then, so I thought we would go back, touch on some of Overwatch League Season 1's moments, see what our favorites were back from Overwatch League Season 1. And then our listeners would get to know us a little bit better because we have literally nothing else to talk about today. You excited?
It's gonna be good. It's gonna be good.
All right. Well, let's start it off with a general Overwatch question. What are your top 3 played heroes, Joe?
I guess it probably depends on the mode, maybe, but certainly most recently, top three most played heroes for me would be Reinhardt, Pharah, and Mercy. Probably not in that order. Probably Mercy a little bit more than Pharah.
Nice.
But yeah, so a little bit of everything, for playing around. I started off as a Pharah main for a long time, but more recently I've been playing a lot of Reinhardt. So
spreading your wings, I like it. Support, tank, and DPS, all right there. I like it. You don't even main a position. My top 3 played heroes are all going to be. I mean, if we're talking recently, I've been playing a lot more support lately. But I think my number 1 is, if we're talking all time, it is definitely D.Va. I play an insane amount of D.Va, and it's because I don't know. I'm good at heroes where, like, positional heroes, where how good you are is based off of, like, knowing when to go in, knowing who to zone out, and stuff like that. I just naturally know who to go for as D.Va for some reason, because every time I play as her, I'm like on a completely other level for some reason, and we win every time. So I don't enjoy playing D.Va the most, but I'm very good at her, so I play her very often since I would like to win. If we're going, my second most played off tank is Roadhog. That is my favorite character to play. Our hero to play. I love playing Roadhog. Hitting hooks, so satisfying. Bring back his old hook. One shot, please. And then, if we're talking recently, I've probably played Brigitte more than Ana, unfortunately, just because she's easier. But I'm going to personally say that Ana is on my top 3 because I don't want to say Brigitte. I want to separate myself from Brigitte.
Yeah, well, of course, Brig becoming more of a healer here in the future, so that'll be something.
Yeah, that will be something. Maybe I'll be more proud to say I played Brigitte. But yeah, I don't know. I just find that when no one's playing Brigitte on my team, and I'm like, if I switch to Brigitte, we'll win. Like, I just find that to be the case so often,
Yeah.
unfortunately. Okay, so Joe, I know you played the game less, like you started playing later than I did. Um, but what was your favorite meta to play in?
Yeah, so playing the game for only about a year now, a little bit more than a year. Um, and also you got to remember that I'm playing the game um, at a pretty low elo, in which there is no meta, just pretty much at all.
Meta doesn't
Um,
exist.
yeah, but I don't know. I guess in general, I like playing with these kind of tanks. Um, whether that is a sort of goat's style, or or that sort of thing, just because it's heroes I'm comfortable with. Because either you're running a Reinhardt, a core of that, or you've got the Pharah that's a pretty good counter. So I don't know. It certainly gives me freedom to play on the heroes I'm comfortable with. So there's something to be said for that.
Yes. People are gonna hate me for saying this, but as a tank support guy, goats is my favorite meta to play in. Mainly because people, I don't know, because everyone's fine playing tank and support. They're super powerful right now. It's fun that the heroes I play are not only good at being tanks and supports, but they're also good at being DPS. That's extremely fun for me. People are gonna hate me for saying that, and I do. I know last week you heard me. I would much rather this not be the case. But I do enjoy playing goats a lot, and we're talking playing here because we're about to get in what our favorite meta to watch is, which is completely different. If we're talking about playing in a meta, then of course I'm going to like goats because I'm a tank support guy. So
Yeah.
let's get into watching. What's your favorite meta to watch, Joe?
So yeah, and that's a good question. Because part of that, depends on, what exactly we're talking about. I think, from Overwatch League Season 1, obviously the further away we got from Mercy, I was more of a fan of that.
Oh yeah.
Um, but uh, yeah, as far as specifically the metas, um, from an observer standpoint, we're looking at I like to be able, but honestly, the really honest answer is that I liked the shift around like the end of stage 4. I think it was the end of stage 4 of Overwatch League Season 1. Maybe it was after finals that, but the shift into like Hanzo Zarya, which sounds really bad because there was literally just the Q meta. But and I think part of the reason that sticks out of my mind is because is just because of how good of a change that it was from the dive, right? This was like right pretty recently after Break had been introduced and Hanzo had been reworked. Um, and so just to add that variety was really cool. Like and um, also like right after Rialto was released. I don't know exactly where that all falls in the timeline, but somewhere right around in there was cool to watch. But again, I think mostly just because of the shakeup that it brought to being a spectator. So it got old after a while, but that's what sticks out of my mind.
Okay, yeah, that was fun. I mean, there were a bunch of, I don't know. It's so hard to go back and choose a favorite meta to watch because there's a bunch of times where Mercy was OP and Res was not fun. But if I'm gonna go back, I'm gonna go way back when Res was an ultimate ability. To I think this began. It was when dive first became a thing. When Miro basically taught the world what dive was in Overwatch World Cup. That was the second year of Overwatch World Cup, maybe third year, first year. I think it was the first year actually.
Yeah, I think so.
But they dive. I mean, I think at the time Ana had came out about 5 months previously, and Ana was providing that was the original goats, the 3-3, providing tons of healing to tanks, and it was dive was just it was crazy that that this could counter something like that. And Miro was the OG god of it, and I just miss. I my One of my favorite times to watch Overwatch was just seeing Miro go head to head against Kaiser. I think I've talked about this on the podcast before, but
I think so, yeah.
Miro versus Kaiser. Whether it was Winston, Miro would always win the Winston battles, and then when it was Reinhardt versus Reinhardt, Kaiser would always win those. And it was just super fun to see. And I mean, they were forcing Kaiser to switch over to Winston all the time because Dive was just starting. Like they were playing Dive so well that it was just starting to push out other metas. It was such a great moment, I think, at Overwatch, because it was the first time. I think Dive in itself is not too overpowered because it takes so much skill and coordination to do. So it was super interesting to see this team counter the current metas and the current team compositions just through skill and not through overpowered heroes. That was just, that was just an amazing moment for Overwatch, I believe. I can't wait to see the creation. I would love to see the creation of a new medic rising from the ashes based off of skill and not necessarily heroes that are just overpowered.
Yeah. I mean, that's the kind of story you want to try to develop, for your game, no matter what it is. So yeah, that's gonna be cool.
Yeah, I agree. Heroes. Who's your favorite hero? We talked about metas, we talked about team composition. Now we're talking individual hero. Who is your favorite hero to watch?
Yeah. So to talk about this one, I think first of all, my answer, I'm a lot like the generic fan base in that I do enjoy uh, just mechanical skill, um, and being able to watch that. So characters like McCree, for example, or Pharah. I love me a good Pharah.
Yeah.
I just thought of that. But again, as much as people don't like to hear it, but yeah, to watch the DPS players that are making the big fast flashy plays, that's something. But again, my caveat would be that I want to see if that's going to change here in the next year, especially with the introduction of this in-client viewing that's hopefully going to come out for OWL Season 2. That to be able to have that ability, again, to watch essentially whatever role you want, it's going to be super helpful. And hope maybe I'll be able to find some, not only get value out of it, but find some new favorite mode of spectating as well.
Yeah. I definitely think I would use it to watch more Zen, honestly. I know they were spectating Jonak a lot more towards the end of the season, but I think there were a bunch of other Zens that were damage dealers like Badoshin and all these amazing Zens that didn't get as much attention. I think watching Zen would be great, but my favorite hero personally to watch is McCree. I know everyone loves Widow. Widow's so much fun, but there's something so satisfying about just watching McCree just get those dings on those heads, just so many in a row. I remember watching Taimu back on McCree way back in the day, but he was just so good at him. It was so much fun to watch him switch to McCree and just pop heads. It was I miss when McCree was good. I really do. And nothing much has changed besides buffs for this guy. So it's honestly just the rest of the cast has gotten better than him. And his counters have gotten better than him. So hopefully we see some changes. I know everyone wants those D.Va changes, and I think changing D.Va will make McCree, Soldier, all the hitscan heroes a lot better. So we had some. I thought we would talk about some Overwatch League talent real quick. Who's your? We'll put these two together. Favorite caster, and then your favorite member of the desk.
Well, yeah. So the second one of that, super easy. As far as I'm concerned, favorite personality on the desk would definitely have to be Reinforce or IP Reinforce. Um, yeah. Again, just because of the value you get from being able to get that pro player perspective and being able to that slightly higher level analysis, I think, is valuable to have. Even if evidently we've discovered that that's not the direction they're hoping to focus on. But
Exactly.
um, and then casters, I mean, obviously the easiest answer is Uber. Just because Uber is awesome. If you haven't seen the Uber Rap God video on YouTube, you need to go watch it. But if we were going away from that, um, then it becomes much more difficult because there's lots of uh, really good casting talent that they've got in the league. But it might end up being somebody like uh, like Doa maybe.
Yeah.
Being able to really help write the stories as they're going along through it's super helpful.
Yeah, I agree. My favorite member of the desk is Sideshow. It's hard for me to choose between Sideshow and Bren, but I think Sideshow Bren brings the funny, but Sideshow also brings some funny, and he brings, I think, some top tier analysis as well. I like Sideshow a lot. He's a smart dude. And then Uber is definitely the best caster. Um, he's probably my favorite too, but I very much enjoy Monty not only for his casting but his twittering, tweeting, and
Gets crazy on there.
yeah, he's just overall he's one of my favorite talent personalities for sure. They're all great personalities. Honestly, I think we've got a very talent roster in the Overwatch League. We're very lucky. Uh, Season one. Let's talk about season one. Start off. We mentioned this a little bit. But who is your favorite team in Overwatch League season one, Joe? Go ahead and say it.
Yeah, so yeah, favorite team out of season one, definitely Philadelphia Fusion. All the way from the beginning of the season, taking them through uh, you know, crazy matches with New York and finally some stage playoffs. It was good.
Yeah, I mean, you guys got second. You guys got second. You need to brag about that more. Second place. That's pretty
That's
good.
true. That's true.
But yeah, I know we're supposed to be unbiased, but my favorite team was the Houston Outlaws. Very unfortunate. Very great beginning to the season. Not so much ending. I mean, they were close. They were very close to making playoffs. But just one meta favored them very heavily, and specifically the one where Junkrat was very good. Unfortunately, once that went out, Jake couldn't really handle the rest of the heroes as well. So, yeah, I was a Houston Outlaws fan, mainly because I thought they had that nice underdog mentality coming in as think they were the only American roster with no Koreans on it, right?
Uh, Probably, yeah.
And I'm not like racist against Koreans or something. I just thought it was cool that they came out and they're like, oh, here's a we don't need it because everyone was talking about how you needed it. I thought it was cool, so I was hopping on the Houston Outlaws bandwagon. I was also a huge fan of Mendo, who I met in Los Angeles when I was there for a summer with Echo Fox, and he was a player on their team. Never saw the stage, but yeah, I was a big fan of him. So that's why I was a Houston Outlaws fan. My fandom died a little bit as the season went on. I do not know if that will be my main team next season. I just wish there was a Detroit or Indy team I could root for, but there is not.
Yeah.
So I have to choose every season. All right, favorite. Who is your favorite player during? We're not going to say not looking back, but during season one, who is the player you liked the most?
Oh, I see. Uh, yeah, so during season one, looking at a player, I almost have to pull up these rosters or something so I can scroll through and look for inspiration. But okay, yeah, so first thing that jumps out to me would be uh actually players from the LA Gladiators. Um, Somebody like Surefour or Hydration with just really large really large hero pools. That they were able to uh, really show off exactly what they were able to do, what they had uh, to throw out lots of, particularly I can think of Hydration's Doomfist that we saw before Doomfist was cool. Um, because that's the term for it now. It's not meta, it's cool. Um, but yeah, so I'm at not saying anybody from Philly. So yeah, I might say Hydration.
Nice. I like Hydration. I really like Surefour too. I've been a Surefour fan. I'm gonna avoid Houston as well, and I'm going to go with Sabiel B. Um, I I really enjoyed SBB as Tracer got less and less viable when Brig wasn't there. It was unfortunate that Sabiel B was not as good on other heroes as he was Tracer, but I still think he's the best Tracer in the world. Loved watching him on Tracer. I just remember points. I can't remember who it was against. One of my favorite Sabiel B moments was basically when NYXL lost the point on, I remember, Oasis City Center. Maybe it wasn't City Center. It was on Oasis, and I cannot remember who it was against, but he was like, it was literally one versus like four or five, and this man was just stalling the point, killing people. No one could kill him, and I was like, this guy, he's just my favorite player to watch. I love Sabiel B. And you can't deny his personality is awesome too. He's got a wife. He keeps her picture all over the place. That's pretty
It's
cool.
the Merry Men meta.
Yeah, exactly. So we go back. Joe, what was your favorite match from season one of Overwatch League?
Mm.
This is a
So
good question.
yeah, that's becomes more difficult.
Lots of good
I'm
matches.
pulling this up right now because I'm thinking of uh, obviously it's gonna have to be again coming from the Philadelphia Fusion perspective, it's gonna have to be a playoff match. Whether that is the stage two playoffs versus London. I mean, that was a super
Big
good
win.
series. What?
Big win.
Oh yeah, definitely. Uh, or even some of the when they're trying to deal with the mathematics of uh, trying to qualify later in the season. Um, that's the next one, so I'll save for that. But yeah, favorite match of. No, no, actually, sorry, I'm gonna change it already. Yeah, favorite match of the season has got to be probably the second win in the playoffs, Philly over New York,
That was a
um,
great match.
to send them to the finals. That was super intense, all the way down to what was that the map that had the crazy Dorado? Yeah, 3-3-2 Dorado
Oh
at the
yeah.
very end. That was an insane map. Um, Obviously going towards Philly. But yeah, that's I'm gonna call it right there. All the way at essentially the very end of the season.
God, that was. I remember watching that down on my couch with my with my friend that I already knew I was going to Brooklyn with for the championship, and he owns Overwatch for PlayStation. He's played it a couple times, but his main Overwatch fandom is through me and just watching random Overwatch League games because I'll pop them on. And I just remember him being so hyped during that match. I feel like that was when he decided like this is cool. But yeah, that was such a great match. Dorado was crazy. Um, I was personally rooting for NYXL because I wanted to see them in New York, and I wanted to see the fans go crazy for them. But you cannot deny how well Philly Fusion played in the playoffs and towards the end of the season. They've got a great team, great roster. Uh, my
Definitely.
my favorite match way back. This one's just personally. I know there was nothing on the line, and these two teams both didn't make playoffs. But I think it was just the moment I realized this is awesome. And it was on the first night of Overwatch League. I was lucky enough to fly out to LA for the first week with my brother. We went to the first 4 days, enjoyed the hell out of it, and um, my favorite match from that weekend, my favorite match from the whole season was Dallas versus Seoul. Who everyone thought was going, they thought these are the two best teams this year, Dallas and Seoul. Crazy. But that was still such a great match. 2-1 was the final score, and they all the maps were close. It was so much fun to watch, and just I know Seoul came out in the end, but it was the moment I was like, this league is going to be so competitive and cool, and I can't wait for the rest of the season. All right, favorite moment. This is not a match, just your favorite moment from Overwatch League Season 1.
Yeah. So for me, again, this one might actually have to come from. I guess it's not a final, so it counts. But also from another Philly Fusion match. Looking here at the end of stage 4. I'll pull this up, make sure I got the details right. Yeah, so very last day of stage 4 before the finals, where Philly is playing London Spitfire, and they had at this point already, or no, they hadn't. No, because they were playing. Help me remember to get this right. But Philly was playing because they had to 4-0 London to make the stage 4 finals. And all London had to do was take one map, and then Dallas would play. And so it came all the way down to map 4. They were playing Whoa! It just started. Video autoplay. No, like he came all the way down to Gibraltar at the very, very end. Map 4 of this series. You know, you've seen clips of Dallas watching. You've seen the
Yep.
series, I'm sure. All the way down point 3 on London's attack that they had to, I think, complete in order to win. And so it's not necessarily my favorite moment because of what happened, but it's definitely one of the most memorable. When Boombox got Primal Raged off the edge, playing Zenyatta and popped trance and still died. Which you know, I was reminded of a couple of days ago, so it's kind of fresh in my head. But thinking about you know, because that very easily could have cost them the map. You know, who knows if it did, but could have cost them the map, and then by extension, you know, stage 4 playoffs. But anyway, that's what comes to mind, you know, as something. And there's tons both in the gameplay and not. You know, outside of the gameplay all the way through this season that are really memorable. But that's
Yeah.
one that I'll bring up.
With lots of memorable moments. It was hard to choose. Definitely hard to choose this one. But I cannot choose anything but the finals, which I got to go to. Like I just cannot choose anything but just like how insane that place was, and one of the loudest crowds I've ever been a part of. I've been to lots of normal traditional sporting events, and just in awe at how loud this place was, especially for Philly Fusion. I mean, Philly had that bus over to Barclays, so there were tons of Philadelphia fans there. And the craziest, I was thinking about it, and the loudest that crowd got was when Jeff Kaplan like showed up and got interviewed for a second. I don't even think it was on the stream. I think it was off stream. Golden Boy just interviewed Jeff real quick. And I do not like that is one of the loudest I've ever heard an arena get is the moment everyone realized that like Jeff was here and Jeff was about to get interviewed, and like he was standing up on the stage on like the floor and just like started waving, and everyone just gives him a standing ovation, like so loud. Golden Boy has to start this interview, but no one is like shutting up. Everyone continues to cheer as loud as they can for this guy who is the head of the team, of course, that made this game. And a lot of people love this game, and a lot of people, I mean, this is definitely one of my favorite games of all time. It's awesome to see Jeff at events like this. It's awesome to see, like, I mean, the finals, if the finals was crazier, I imagine people would have gotten louder than Jeff. But honestly, Jeff was definitely the loudest I've seen a crowd get almost for this man. And you could just see on his face, like, being in that moment. That's like a life goal right there, is like just have a stadium full of people cheering so loud just for your presence. Like that's crazy. So that's one of my favorite moments. But the finals overall, in general, were amazing. It was so cool to see just people there, and like you would see people bringing their like dads there or something like that. Like, yeah, I want to show my dad what I'm into, or I want to show my parents, and it was cool to see. But yeah, besides, there are so many other moments, but that has to be it for me.
Yeah.
So I know I had a prediction for all season one's finals at the beginning of the year. I predicted who was going to be in the finals. Did you also make a prediction in your head even?
I don't think I did really. I mean, um, but thinking about going into the season, uh, that Seoul was all anybody could talk about. I do remember that.
Didn't even make
Uh,
playoffs.
yeah, that was on one hand it was a shock, but on the other hand, it's just the nature of how things go. I don't know.
Yeah, metas change, crazy things. Lunatic High. I mean, Lunatic High wasn't even. At, they were hyped up because people hadn't seen Lunatic High play recently. I think most people had dropped Apex at that point, and Lunatic High just wasn't doing as well in Apex recently, so it didn't make too much sense why people were so high on Soul, honestly. Oh, but I personally predicted Soul versus Houston Outlaws, which at the end of stage one was actually not too bad of a prediction. Um, but after that, it was a terrible prediction. Neither of them made the playoffs.
It's
But
true.
I thought since I said my early season one finals prediction, this was before the season started. I predicted this. I thought to finish off our little personality thing here, we could do our very 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 early season two finals predictions, even before we do our entire preview, which is going to start next week, which can change. I guarantee mine's going to change, but
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
very early season two final prediction. Give it to me, Joe.
Paris. And
Paris.
again, just this is supposed to be a gut sort of thing. So, um, yeah, I didn't necessarily want to pick a new established team or an established team necessarily. Um, and this is definitely we talked about how things can go either way, but I don't know, something about this pulling in lots of these EU talents, lots of these people really really successfully prove themselves in lots of different situations. Um, this may change after day one of the schedule, just depending on what we're able to see. But I don't know. There's I'm gonna be cheering for this squad. I think definitely going into season one.
Paris. And who do you have? Who Paris will be facing?
Oh, I don't know. Probably one of the Eastern teams, if I had to guess.
Paris versus London. How about that finals? You like that?
Ooh, that would be interesting. Although I don't want London to be in the finals 2 years in a row. That'd be too easy. Give it to somebody else.
Would be too easy.
Uh,
It also would be too easy to predict NYXL, but they always choke. God, who am I gonna go with? I think I'm gonna go Gladiators. I like their new signing so far. Just gut feeling. Like their new signings, Decay, and losing Fissure. I don't think will be that bad in the end. I like how flexible this team is. Hopefully they're keeping hydration, because if they don't, then maybe this prediction will be different. I like the Gladiators. I do like the Gladiators. And who do I like to who do I think the Gladiators are gonna face? Ugh, God, this is tough. This is so early, but I should just not think about it. New York. I'm gonna go Gladiators. New York. I'm gonna say they don't choke it this year. New York makes the finals, and they have a meta that favors their team. And they've got so much flexibility now with those five DPS players. How many DPS players do they have? They're bound to find some that fit the meta. So
it's true, especially if Ash starts becoming really good, which we'll see.
hopefully she does, because I enjoy watching Ash a lot. But yeah, that's hopefully you got to know us a little bit more. That's all we got on our list right there. And next week we're gonna start previewing slowly but surely season 2, Joe. Right?
Yeah, I think the plan is to do like 2 teams a week until we get through all 20. And
Yeah,
obviously things might change, but we've only got 80 days until February 14th.
yeah. I think
So,
the plan should be we preview 2 teams, say how good they're going to be each week, and once we get to that final week, we give our predictions on what we think the final standings are going to look like. Who's going to make the championship? Probably going to be different from who we said today. Uh,
it's true.
that should be exciting. The countdown begins. But yeah, here at On the Flank, we wish you guys a great week ahead as we tell you our social media here. My personal one is JWGeorgeIV. Joe's is at Kirkpatrick_Inc. INC. We have a show Twitter, On the Flank Show, if you want updates on the show and when we post them. We have an email, ontheflankshow@gmail.com. You can email us topics you would like us to talk about. You can also tweet at us if you would like. Of course, you are listening to this, but if you would like to listen to it in a different way, you can go to ontheflank.podbean.com. My personal YouTube, which is John George, hard to find if you just search it, but it is linked on my Twitter page. We are on iTunes and Apple Podcasts if you are an iPhone user. We are also on Spotify and Google Play now if you're an Android user. Thank you guys for listening, and we'll check you out next week.